Everything is inspired by the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Om Agana Jimanandasya Ganangana Salakya Chaksuru Militam Yana Tashmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manavishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutare Trayam Rupa Kadamayam Darati Swa Parantikam. Today we talk about leaping in faith. Unfortunately, there are many people who can find reasons rather than leaping to limp. I wasn't raised in a good environment. Good behavior wasn't modeled for me when I was growing up. Oh, that relationship didn't work out. The boss never gives us credit for our work. Now we're at a disadvantage. Sometimes a limp is passed down. All we saw modeled growing up was anger, resentment, addictions, dysfunction, people cheating on each other. That feels normal to us. We don't know anything else. What we don't realize is that we're limping, not leaping. Too often we let our limp be as an excuse to settle where we are, to water down our dreams, not believe for greater things. If I could have just finished school, then I would have been successful. If I hadn't made these mistakes and wasted these years compromising, I would be happy today. I heard a story about a man who slipped and started sliding down the shingles of his roof, slipped over the edge of the eave, barely managing to hold on with the tip of his fingers from the edge of the roof. Dangling there 3 stories from the earth, he looked above at the heavens and shouted, "God, can anyone help me?" Suddenly, time stopped, the clouds parted, and a voice boomed down from heaven. "Have faith, my son, turn loose." The man took another glance at the ground 3 stories below him, and then he looked back up to the heavens and he said, "Is there anybody else up there that can help me?" Faith. You can't leave home without it. We live by faith, not because we want to, but because we have to. We go to a doctor whose name we can't pronounce. He gives us a chemical compound that we don't understand. He tells us to take it, and we do so in the sure and certain faith that it will make us better. If that's not faith, I don't know what it is. We live by faith every single day. And when it comes to faith in God, some limp, some linger, and some leap. All of us without exception, we're going to have times when we're tempted to limp. But here's the key. Krishna didn't make you to be a limper, to live insecure, lonely, not having enough. Yes, those things may come, certain seasons, but He knows how to get you through. He knows how to heal you, restore you, turn things around. But as long as you're using the limp as an excuse, you're not going to move forward. Just going to stay right where you are, stuck. Loss of faith comes when we feel personally let down. When we lose a child, there's a danger of our faith taking a blow. A divorce, a lost job, a betrayal by a long-standing friend. When these moments come, it's easy to let your guard down, despair. But what you do with what happens is going to make all the difference. Franny Cosby was blind, but instead of sinking into self-pity, she wrote more hymns glorifying God than any other person in Christendom. Some of the titles are, "I am thine, O Lord, to God be the glory, blessed assurance, Jesus is mine, oh, what a foretaste of the divine." In her later years, what had caused her blindness at a young age, they found the cure for it, but unfortunately, by then she'd grown too old for that particular surgery. Someone said to her, "Franny, if you'd only been born 50 years later, you would now be able to take that surgery and see." Her response was as follows: "If I had a choice, I would remain blind. Thus, when I die, the first face I see will be the face of God." You may be limping now. Things might have happened that you don't understand. However, that limp is not how your story ends, that disappointment, that betrayal, that unhealthy childhood. Krishna or God knows how to take what was meant for your harm and use it for your advantage. You just have to get into agreement with him, not go around accommodating the limp, making excuses to settle. Charu, you don't know how badly I've been hurt. That's why I'm angry. That's why I compromise. That's why I can't be successful. Hey, everybody's been hurt. You're not the only one. Everybody's had bad breaks. But the people who go on to do great things and fulfill their destinies are the people who don't let the limp be an excuse to settle. There are people who know the limp is only temporary, that Krishna or God would not have allowed it if he didn't have a purpose for it. These are the people of faith who expect things to turn around in their favor. The right attitude. I'm limping now. I'm not denying that I'm disappointed. I'm lonely. I have had a setback, but I know that Krishna or God is on the throne. I wouldn't have seen the rising sun this morning if Krishna didn't have a great future out there in front of me. I know that no matter how bad it is right now, healing is coming, the right person is coming, abundance is coming. Krishna has said that he would turn my mourning into dancing, my sorrow into joy, my limping into leaping. He said, you're not just going to come out of that trouble, but if you keep a good attitude in the trouble, you'll come out twice as strong, twice as healthy, at a new level of your destiny. Now, granted, sometimes it's not external circumstance, but our own bad choices that bring on the limp. Our own choices, our karmic reactions from the decisions we've made, from the seeds that we've sowed, bring about pain and disappointment. But the good news is, Krishna doesn't hold your past bad decisions against you. He has mercy for every mistake. And when you're limping, you can't sit around defeated, listening to the accusing voices, making excuses. All that's going to do is just get you stuck. In the 1980s, my service was in Los Angeles Temple. To keep healthy, I had run 16 marathons and any number of 5Ks, 10Ks, and half marathons in Los Angeles. There's like 20 races going on every weekend. But at one point, after having run all these races, I started to get a real sharp pain in my right Achilles tendon. I would run, and after about a mile, the pain would become so intense that I'd have to finish the run by limping. I went to the hospital. I had surgery. Everything came out fine. But for 2 weeks, I was on crutches, and I had to wear a boot for a month after that. I was injured, but I knew it was temporary. I knew that in 2 months, I was going to be back out running trails better than ever. I didn't sit around all down, mopey and depressed. Man, I want to run, but I got this injury. I'm so unfortunate. Down on myself. Oh, I overdid the running, and now I may have to give it up. I made a mistake, and now I have this problem. See, I didn't accept the role of a limper. I continue to see myself as a leaper, you might say. And after I healed, I went out and ran another 16 marathons. So you need to see yourself out there, successful, moving forward, happy, productive, doing great things. Unfortunately, too many times we normalize the limp. All my family's depressed. That's why I'm depressed. Everybody in my family's had this addiction. That's why I had the addiction. Nobody in my family went to college, so I'm not going to be able to get my degree. I'm not that smart. This person walked out on me, broke my heart. I'll never be happy again. All those are just limps. If you're learning to live with it, you're letting those be an excuse not to move forward with your life. You have to know, like I did with my Achilles, you're going to run again. There's life after that divorce. There's life after that financial bankruptcy. You're injured now, but healing is coming. That person who walked out on you, Krishna has someone better on the way. You're going to love again. You may have had a setback in your career, a door closed, but Krishna is about to open a better door to a better opportunity, a better company, a better job. So don't let that limp cause you to settle where you are and give up on dreams where you have to start accepting mediocrity, dysfunction, learning to live with the anchor, live with a low self-esteem. That's not who God created you to be. That's a limp. That's just a temporary season. God created you to be free, healthy, confident, and victorious. I was in rehab after surgery, but it was only for 2 months. The crutches, the boot, they were all there for a season to help me get over the injury. They weren't permanent. Sometimes, unfortunately, we get comfortable with the crutches. We were raised with that limp. Instead of realizing that it's only temporary, we'll think, man, I'm always going to have this temper. I'll never be able to deal with this anxiety. I can't accomplish my dreams. I don't have the connections. But Krishna is saying to you, it's time for the crutches to come off. What you've been using as an excuse is not going to limit you anymore. Chains are being broken. Strongholds are coming down. You're about to step into who you're created to be. Quit believing those lies that you're stuck. You don't have the talent. You don't have the right personality. You've made too many mistakes. Krishna brought you here tonight to hear this message. It's a new day. Chains are being broken. Strongholds are coming down. You're about to step up to becoming who you are created to be. You just have to do one thing. Stop believing the lies that you're stuck, that you don't have the talent, you're the wrong nationality, you've made too many mistakes. Krishna is about to turn your limping into leaping, cause you to bloom, to blossom with greater confidence, greater resources, greater influence. Now you just have to do your part and get into agreement with God. Victory starts in our thinking. Thoughts will tell you, you'll always have this crutch. You'll always struggle. You'll always be lonely. You'll always have bad breaks, get the short end of the stick. Don't believe those lies. It's just a season. You remember the movie Harrison Ford called The Last Crusade? He's looking for the Holy Grail. He comes to a cliff's edge with a vast cavern beneath him. The Holy Grail is on the other side. He looks over the situation. He says, it really is a leap of faith, isn't it? Yes, Jim, Joe, Sudhir, Krishna, it really is a leap of faith. So are you willing to jump? You may have heard the Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard. He said to believe in God, or even to make the attempt to understand the nature of God, is to make a leap of faith. Take the example of Desert Pete. The man was dying of thirst in the desert. And he came upon a rusted old pump right out there in the middle of the desert. A baking soda can was tied to the handle with this note inside. This pump was all right the last time I used it. I put a new sucker washer into it, which ought to last a good long while. But the washer dries out and the pump needs to be primed. Under the white rock, I buried a bottle of water. It's out of the sun and all corked up. That should be enough to prime the pump, but don't drink any of it first. Pour about a quarter of the water in, let the leather get moist, and then pour the rest in medium fast with one hand and pump like crazy with the other hand. The result will be you'll get more water than you know what to do with. You'll get as much water as you could drink. You'll get water to shower. You'll get all the water you could possibly imagine. You can get enough water to swim in if you like, but you have to do one thing. Don't drink the little pint of water. Use it to prime the pump. Take a leap of faith, and you won't be disappointed. So Krishna has positioned some of us at this point in our life at the pump. Are you going to drink the pint, or are you going to use the pint to prime the pump? Now, if you faithfully follow the instructions of Desert Pete and use the pint to prime the pump, you'll have more water than you could have ever dreamed of. It'll be alive, and you can add your little bit to that piece of paper, confirming to any future travelers, yes, this really works. But maybe Krishna is saying to you tonight, things are not just going to change, but because you faithfully chanted the names of the Lord, it's going to come out better than you could have ever imagined. Krishna is going to take you to an unimaginably beautiful place where there's abundance, healing, joy, laughter, love. Krishna is saying to you tonight, because you've been faithful, He's not just going to bring you out. He's not just going to restore what you lost, get you back to where you were before the troubles. No, He's going to take you out and give you double the joy, double the peace, double the prosperity. He's going to exceed your furthest expectation. And don't let the ugliness of what you're going through right now fool you. God is still on the throne. He said, weeping may endure for a night, but joy is coming in the morning. Another way to say it is, limping may endure for a season, but leaping is on the way. It may be ugly now, but you're at the gate. God will make everything beautiful in His time. No more, I can't get ahead. You're going to step into abundance. No more feeling second rate, second class. You're going to put your shoulders back. You know you're a masterpiece made in the image of God. No more lonely. A divine connection headed your way. Someone better than you could have ever imagined. No more being overlooked, not getting the credit. Krishna is going to take you from the background to the foreground, from being left out to being in charge. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My Bobby, my wife, and I, we were comfortable serving during the 1980s in the Los Angeles temple, doing the life membership service. Los Angeles, as you can imagine, is a big mission, a lot of responsibilities. Even back in the 1980s, there were more than 10,000 Indian families in the Los Angeles area, and I was pretty much responsible for bringing them to the temple. I like to think I was doing a good job. And still we felt that if we wanted Krishna to show up in our lives in a major way, we had to take some sort of major leap of faith. We felt prompted to go from walking to leaping. And as unlikely as it sounds, we gave up the pint of water, so to speak, in Los Angeles to open the vaults of heaven in Utah. And what do we learn from this? My testimony, I can tell you, based on my own experience, that Krishna knows how to blow your mind, exceed your expectations. We would have been happy just to create a small little storefront in Utah, to run that small little radio station, pay the bills. But after our leap from Los Angeles to Utah, Krishna had abundance coming, overflow beyond what we could have ever thought or imagined. Limping, hobbling along. It's not how your story ends. If you tap into His power to do something major for the Lord, He will take your dreams and He will supersize them. Freedom is coming. Wholeness is coming where it's no longer a struggle. Difficult things become easy when you put Krishna into the equation. You're going to be unquestionably free, so then you can help others get free. Not limping to just walking, but Krishna's way is limping to leaping. When we first arrived in Utah, thoughts would say, true, this is not for you. You're out of your depth here. These people are another religion. They aren't interested in what you have to say. You have no means of income. You must have got it wrong. But every day we stuck it out, kept dreaming, kept trying, kept building relationships with the local community, kept chanting. Krishna was working behind the scenes to bring it all together. Now there are 100 or so devotee families, a couple of dozen initiated devotees, 2 temples built from the ground up on 20 total acres of land, residential buildings for the volunteers, an exotic animal park in Spanish Fork, a radio station heard all over the world, huge festivals of color here in Salt Lake City, Ogden, and the biggest one in Spanish Fork. And now we also travel a little bit to inspire other devotees in their walk with God. Point is that if you kept him first place, he's about to do for you what he has done for others. So receive this into your spirit. Take yourself from struggle, doubt, and worry to confidence, abundance, from brokenness to wholeness, from sickness to health, from insecurity to confidence, from mediocrity to success, from loneliness to great relationships, from no good breaks to blessings chasing you down. Yes, sometimes we have a disappointment. We may have even been born into limitations. There's no expectancy for things to improve. We're satisfied with less than what God had intended for us. True, if my parents hadn't told me I was never going to amount to anything, then maybe I'd have a good self-image. True, my business partner cheated me and ruined my credit. If it weren't for that, I would have built a nice business. Can I tell you? That's your explanation as to why you are where you are right now. But my caution is don't use it as an excuse to stay that way. Krishna is still on the throne. He's still fighting your battles. He has amazing things in your future. And when you have this attitude of expectancy, angels go to work. Forces of darkness are broken. Miracles are set into motion. Now, many of you have done your best with what you have. You watched others coast along, so to speak, while you've been dealing with ugly things in your life. That child who got with the wrong crowd broke your heart. That loneliness even within your marriage. The feelings of unworthiness. Some of these things you didn't have anything to do with. It was just passed down, and yet you kept on being a person of integrity. You kept in faith. You kept smiling when there was no reason to smile. Can I tell you, your time is coming. That limp is not your destiny. Krishna, or God, is the Paramatma within every heart. He sees you. He knows what you struggle with. He knows who hurt you. He knows what you didn't get, what wasn't there for you. He's keeping meticulous records. Sometimes we're limping because of our own mistakes, and our thoughts will tell us in an accusing way. Charu's not talking about me today. I brought all this trouble on myself. I chose to compromise. I wasn't faithful. Well, here's my point. Krishna knows every mistake that you've ever made. He knows every failure, and he's still full of mercy. He's not holding your mistakes against you. He's not going to keep you limping because you should have known better. Healing is coming. Restoration is coming. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Imagine starting off your life with Krishna like being on a tandem bike built for two. You start off wanting yourself to be in the front, to guide and control. You want Krishna along, but you just want him in the back so that he can keep pedaling and you can go where you want. Life has told us to hold on, to manipulate, to exploit, to not let go of the handlebars. We don't just want to enjoy the goodness of life. We want to own it. We want to store it up. We want to expand it. We want to manipulate it for our own purposes. With clenched fists, we cling to our possessions, our opinions, our theories, our beliefs, our attitudes, our hurts, our grievances, our money, fearful that losing our grip on the handlebars will mean defeat. And yet, in all of that, our salvation consists in letting go. Krishna is inviting you tonight to change places with him. Him in the front and you in the back. And his promise is that your life will never be the same again. He wants to take you from limping to leaping. When I was in control of the handlebars, I thought I knew the best way. It might have been boring, but it was predictable. The shortest distance between 2 points. But when Krishna takes the lead, he shows me delightful, long cuts, scenic routes through the mountains and down through the valleys at breakneck speeds. It will be all you can do to hang on. Yeehaw! Even though it looks like madness, he will say over his shoulder, hang on, Drew, hang on. But we're worried, we're anxious, say, Lord, where are you taking me? He laughs, he doesn't answer. And I start to learn to trust him. I forget my boring life and I enter into the adventure. And when I get scared, he leans back and touches my hand. Krishna knows how to make all things beautiful in his time. Even things we think are too far out. You have no idea what Krishna is capable of doing. Our question is, are you limping today? You believe in Krishna, but you don't really trust him. You find comfort in him, but you wouldn't put your faith in him to let go if you were hanging over the edge of the roof. That's okay. There's no shame in having a limp. Life happens to us all. But what I'm saying is, the limp is not permanent. You're not going to need those crutches your whole life. Krishna created you to be free. He sees you equipped, empowered, making the most of a difficult situation, being your best despite the limp. He sees you not necessarily as you are now, but Krishna sees of what you are capable in the future. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If you faithfully chanted his names in the good times, the bad times, the bottom of the mountain and the top of the mountain, I'm going to put you on notice tonight. Your time is coming. Buckle up your seatbelt. Put your hard hat on. Krishna is speaking blessings over your life. He's going to take your ugly situations and give beauty for those ashes. Krishna sent me here today to deliver this message to help bolster you up. You're about to feel a supernatural strength, supernatural healing, supernatural favor. You may be limping at the moment, but I believe because you've kept Krishna first place, leaping is coming, restoration is coming, great relationships, freedom, abundance, the fullness of your destiny in this life, next life, back to home, back to Godhead. Thank you for your kind attention. I invite you to raise your arms and let's all say together, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.